Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 64th episode of The Ruins of Warsaw. I'm Alexandra and I'm the storyteller.
Hi, I'm Dolores and I'm playing Janina Kondula.
Hi, my name is Faye and I'm playing Beatrice Wozniak of Clan Malkavian.
And as always, we have partners taking care of tech and acting as keeper of the Elysium in the chat. Thank you all so much for joining us for yet another episode in our story. We really appreciate you being here. And all right, let's jump into a recap of what happened previously. We started as our kindred woke up in the evening. Janina was the first to wake up, and she quickly left Hotel Bristol, first to go for a walk, and then, at first unsure what to do with seemingly free night, she decided to visit her ghoul, Hannah. When she arrived there, she saw that Hannah has now mostly recovered from her injuries and was able to walk again on her own. They chatted for some time, and reluctantly, but after Janina's insistence, Hannah revealed that she had trouble not having much money left and asked if Janina would be able to help, which Janina promised, of course, to do. Having left, Janina decided to feed and failed to control herself. She ended up killing a man and then stole his wallet, leaving the body in the street. And feeling pretty disgusted with herself, she returned to Hotel Bristol. Meanwhile, Bea woke up from a nightmare in Antoni's arms. The new couple shared a few moments together before Antoni had to leave to pick up an elder of Clan Tremere who was due to arrive in Warsaw. But before he left, he once again spoke to Bea of being worried for Janina and what she might do, and also when leaving, noticed part of a wound on Bea's chest, which of course was left there by Lady Leocadia and Red Promise. Antoni saw some of it, asked Bea about it, but she didn't remember, so she quickly made up a story about it being some old silly injury she forgot to heal. And after Antoni left, not knowing where this word carved into her chest came from, she healed it. After that, she spent some time at the Elysium. She spoke to Rahela and Eliza de Tremere to warn her that an elder of her clan was due to arrive. And she was approached by the vengeful Cornelia, who conveyed a message from Mr. Lubomirski, the former vengeful Primogen, who wished to see Bea. Before Bea left, the two kindred reunited and finally talked to each other. Janina reassured Bea a little that she didn't plan anything reckless right now or of her own accord, but Bea got the sense that if an opportunity presented itself, that decision might be changed very quickly. After that, they separated again. Bea went to see Mr. Lubomirski, who told her that he would be leaving Warsaw and thanked her for her work, reassuring her that she managed the condition that came with her vita well and performed all her duties well. And he also advised her that she didn't have to agree to every single task that was placed before her, and by doing that, she risked overstretching her capacity. On her way back, Bea witnessed 3 Tremere arriving with Antoni. So Eliza introducing herself to her clan and noticed Rahela, a young Malkavian, staring at one of the new Tremere who just arrived in town. And Bea spoke to Rahela for some time about Rahela's feelings regarding the clan and her feeling that somewhere there was the patron she was looking for. Meanwhile, at Hotel Bristol, Janina got visited by a different Tremere, a young one, Magdalena, who offered to help Janina on her project, explaining that she had nothing to do. She felt that she was not really pleasing her sire and really wanting to have something to do and to contribute. And although she remembered Zygmunt's race for Primogen's warnings about the clan, Janina couldn't really see that much harm in it and decided, well, she promised Magdalena she will discuss it with Mr. Potocki and will try to think of something for her to do. After that, Janina went to look for Dominik, the Nosferatu dancer, but instead she found the Toreador Diana, who told her that Dominik went somewhere tonight and wasn't coming back for a while, and his lover, Lucian, Diana's sire, was really worried and went to look for him. After that, with that news, Janina spoke briefly to her sire, Daniel, who told her not to do anything reckless, and then she went to find Bea, with whom she shared the news, and they decided to look for the sheriff, Antony, or one of the hounds to convey that information. And that was where we left our story last time. So we will pick up as you are headed, I presume, towards the Elysium.
Yes.
So you walk towards the Elysium. And as you walk in, you see Mihail is sitting in his chair as he usually does, accompanied by Stefania, who is there usually with him. You see a couple of people you don't recognize that well. You see Daniel is still there. You see Joachim, Konrad, and Magdalena sitting together.
I guess aiming for Daniel, since
in terms of like sheriff and hounds, it's only Daniel who is here.
Yes. So yeah, walking towards him. You have some level of responsibility.
So you're heading towards Daniel, who notices you and smiles and acknowledges you with like a nod, waiting for you to come up.
I think sort of as I'm approaching him, I will sort of tilt my head sort of towards some of the back rooms in a sort of gesture of, can we talk?
He raises his eyebrows, but then kind of shakes his head and starts heading there.
Okay.
And you find the room easily enough.
Mm-hmm.
He steps in, and as you follow him, he closes the door, takes a look around, leans against the wall in the room and gives you both a look. All right, so the secrecy. What are you two up to?
I came to tell you. I don't think we're up to anything, I said, looking at Janina. And I'll relay to him what I saw about Dominik.
All right.
And just say I thought that this should be brought to the hounds.
He listens to you. All right. Well, I'm not really sure what to make of that exactly.
Well, and I'll add that. Well, I presume that Janina can add the Diana's comments and about Lucian having gone out looking for him.
Do you
Yes.
add anything, Janina?
Yes, I think I just relay everything that happened and all of the things that Diana said to me about what happened with Dominik, and that Lucian is looking for him. That will wait. And that's why I went for Bea to ask her.
Okay.
But I think I already talked to Daniel. And
You did. You told him that already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's more that having been confronted with some description of a Malkavian vision, he kind of
Doesn't know what to do with that.
Make of that. Yeah.
I'm concerned for Mr. Topolsky if he's gone after him. I am concerned for Dominik's well-being if he is gone back to that house. I could potentially try to contact Mr. Topolsky from here. But
okay, right, okay. Just let's take a few steps back, okay? He kind of looks to you with this pretty overwhelmed expression. Are you coming to me in an official capacity? Because in that case, it's noted. I will tell Antoni that.
Okay.
If you wanted to talk to me in a personal capacity, listen, it's like this. What you have seen is worrying, but he's just gone away tonight, right? For all we know, Lucian is going to bring him back in an hour or so.
Okay.
I'm not convinced about this. I'm not saying it, but this is what Janina is thinking. And I look at Bea.
Did I get sort of a strong sense of urgency when I was... I don't quite remember exactly how that vision went.
Well, there is never really...
Yeah, there wasn't there's not a
clear indication. There was no sense of urgency, but there was no sense of time either. It was pretty timeless.
Right.
I mean, not rooted to any particular moment.
That's fair.
Janina, do you do anything or do you just stand there? What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that I'm not convinced, that I trust Bea's visions and it worries me. So I want Daniel to be right, but I'm worried. But I think I just not. I don't want to worry Daniel with not agreeing with him, so I just nod. But I probably exchange glances with Bea.
I'm sort of looking at the floor, feeling somewhere between a little ashamed and a little frustrated. Because I, once again, when I have some information and I should share it, and I brought it to someone just to sort of have it be yeah, and what? So there's that sort of embarrassment there, and also concern, and just the general exhaustion that has just been settling over me for just such a long time at this point. And
Are you trying to hide those feelings?
I don't think I'm necessarily putting on a face right now. And I think there's a bit of the usual not feeling, well, not heard. Heard isn't the right term, but it not being taken seriously, but also not knowing if it should be taken seriously. I'm starting to doubt myself a little bit now that he's sort of said this to me.
As you stand there quietly, Daniel kind of looks to you, Janina, almost surprised that you haven't said much yet, and then looks to Bea, and looks to you for a longer moment, and then, right, listen, Bea, it's not like I don't believe what you saw, or that it is important to Dominik. It's just that
I understand.
If I'm completely honest, I don't know how much anyone's gonna care what he's up to. It's not that I don't care. I mean, I have nothing against the guy. I wish him and Lucian well. But I doubt anyone treating it as a priority, especially since they might come back and, well, there's a lot going on right now, and I can ask Antoni. I'll tell him what's going on.
I imagine he's got plenty to go on with at the moment.
Yeah, well, he always does. Janina, you're awfully quiet. Is that because you're getting ready to punch me, or?
No, I just hope you're right and that they will be back. I'm just worried.
Right. Well, I don't doubt that something's going on. Yadov looks to you, Bea. I'm not well versed in things like that. I'm a pretty simple man, you know. I
need to slow down. I'll see if I can get in contact with Mr. Topolsky. And if it is urgent, then I'll let you know.
All right, then.
Like, I go and sit down in the corner of the room.
As you do that, he kind of looks to you, almost like looks to you, Janina, kind of raises his eyebrows.
I will go towards her and sit next to her. Like, are you okay?
Yes, like I said, I'm going to try and contact him.
Okay.
And then I sort of pause and sort of realize that they probably have no idea what I'm talking about.
Daniel looks pretty confused.
Yeah. My primogen recently taught me how to be outside of my body.
Okay. Is it safe for you?
I mean, so long as he's not in a dangerous place, it should be fine.
All right.
It'll be tiring, but I would appreciate if you just made sure that nothing happened to me while
I will guard you with my life.
I hope you don't need to do that.
Yes, do I.
I just sit next and you'll be safe. We're here.
And I'll spend my last point of willpower.
Poor Bella.
Again.
Yes, and roll your perception and awareness. Difficulty for this will be 7.
Okay. Perception and awareness, and difficulty 7. I have 2 successes.
All right, so how do you go about it? What do you think about when you try to step out of your body?
So I think about some of the things that I discussed with Insertum. I think about how you're not so much like getting out of the body as you are going to a place or going to a person. And so I'm focused on Lucian. I'm focused on his reckless drive for Dominik, no matter what the cost seems to be. I think I recently read back over my notes, so I've got some memories of how that went last time. So I think the sort of fear that wraps around my memories of the last time and also around him tie together, and it almost creates a link and pulls me. And I think I just like slump forward, my head just goes lax, and my eyes are kind of mostly shut, but not quite. And then I'm not here.
Yes, and you feel yourself leaving your body behind. And we'll come to that. But first, Janina, you see Bea slump forward. She is completely limp. Looks like she was asleep. Looks like a dead body.
I look at her with worry with my eyes, and I think my eyes dart to Daniel.
Daniel looks to you. Is it just me or is it fucking weird?
It's weird, but
I don't suppose we're a bunch of vampires. Weirder things have happened. And he sits next to you.
I just don't want anything happening to her.
Well, neither do I. But I'll be honest, I have no idea how to deal with anything that comes with that.
It's fine. I'm sure she will be fine. Let's just hope she's successful. And I gently stroke her hair, but just lightly touching it because I know she doesn't like to be touched. So
I am
just
blissfully unaware.
Daniel just says, let's hope so. How are you holding up? I know you and this Dominik are friends.
Yes, I'm very worried. I'm worried for him and for Lucian because I know Lucian loves him so much. And he already lost him once. I can't imagine what would happen if it happened again. Just, I want to help. I want him to be found.
I know you do. He just kind of shakes his head and looks at the ceiling and has a slightly tired, disgusted expression as he leans back.
Are you okay?
Yeah, I'll be fine. It's just, if you told me a few months ago that I'd be hound for the Camarilla sheriff, I don't know, I'd probably punch you in the face, and now I'm telling you, probably nobody's gonna care. Because they won't, but it's fucking bullshit.
Well, I really hope you're right and that Lucian will bring him back. and everything's gonna be fine. I hate that they wouldn't care. I mean,
Can you speak up a little bit, Dolores?
I'm sorry. I'm just I'm used to like talk silently, so I
Yeah.
apologize. Now I forgot what I wanted to say. I'm sorry.
About worrying for Dominik, yeah.
Okay, yeah. And I just wish they cared more. Like, I just want him to be as important as if Prince went missing.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I know. And it pisses me off so much.
Yeah. He says, and he again looks just very, very tired.
I lean my head on his shoulder and just hug him.
He hugs you back. His hand kind of slumps on your shoulder with this like tired limpness.
It's how things are. It sucks. I don't know. Will it get better? Or not?
I don't know.
Yeah, neither. I want to at least keep safe people that I care about. Even if others don't care.
He takes a moment, but he kind of nods his head and says, I get that.
And then I look back at Bea.
And you look back at Bea. Meanwhile, Bea, you are out of your body, and you are in a dark street. There's hardly any light here. You are somewhere in Warsaw. You recognize the ruins of what used to be apartment buildings on both sides. And you start walking forward. There's only a little bit of light coming from the moon. And in front of you, you see two figures coming towards you. You see Lucian Topolsky leading with his arm a figure of Dominik, masked as his mortal self, but you can see his Nosferatu face through the mask, now almost fully back to what it was before he was changed by Lady Leocadia. And you see that Dominik is shaking. He is on the verge of tears. And you see that Lucian looks to him and he's leading him, and it's not violent, but there is some sternness to this. There's definitely pushing Dominik forward. And there's pain on Lucian's face. And as you approach them, he's leaning, looking at Dominik, saying, why can't you be honest with me? And you see Dominik is shaking. He's wiping away some bloody tears that are running down his cheeks. And he just says, you don't know what it's like. I just can't take it. I can't take this anymore. And Lucian, you hear Lucian asking him, why don't you just talk to me? Tell me what's wrong. Why can't you just tell me? And Dominik is, I can't, I can't, no, I can't. And then Lucian falls quiet and then just says, come on, let's come back. And Dominik is nodding his head, but he's slagging, just dragging his feet a bit, and he slumps forward, and he's almost propelled forward by Lucian. All perception and empathy as you're looking at them.
Does insightful or hidden pain apply here?
Yes. Hidden pain, yeah.
Okie dokie, I'm shocked. Oh god, how do 10s work? This is it doubled? Oh, brain just stopped functioning there. Oh. God, just apologies, my brain is really slow. After the ones, it is 4 successes. That was a ludicrous dice roll.
Okay, 4 successes. So, they're not doing, shockingly, a very good job of hiding their emotions.
I mean, I don't think they were quite expecting to have an audience, so.
No.
Yeah.
So, you see, Dominik is obviously really distressed. He feels lost as he looks around. He looks to Lucian. He almost glances back over his shoulder, glances ahead. It's almost like he can't find grounding in anything. And there is some longing there, some love, some as he looks at Lucian, some as he longs back. There is a guilt, a lot of guilt when he is looking to Lucian. But also there's things he clearly wants to hold back because he doesn't want to hurt Lucian more and because he is ashamed. And you see that Lucian is first of all worried. He's really afraid. But there's also frustration and anger there. And he's hurt. And this hurt is showing in some of his movements, some tension in his muscles, tension in his face. As he's clearly notices Dominik holding something back and is frustrated by it because he's worried and because he feels hurt and pushed away.
Okay. I think I'm feeling really guilty for having seen this. It's not meant for me, and I feel guilty, but I needed to know that whether what was going on and who was safe and whether to try and bring this further. Have I been spotted?
Yes, so as you're kind of thinking about it and looking at them, you notice Lucian. He's not really paying much attention except going forward. But for a moment, his eyes stop exactly where you are, and he looks surprised.
I'll try to say to him, I'm glad he's safe, but I don't know if he can hear me, because I've never done this before.
He looks to you still surprised, but then nods his head.
And then I just sort of bow my head forward and I guess say, I'll see you back at the hotel. I'm sorry. And I think with that, I return feeling like I shouldn't have seen that, but also I needed to know whether to raise it as urgent or not. So, yeah.
When you come back to your body, and Janina, you see, as you're looking at the bear, that some movement returns to her muscles and she raises her head.
Are you okay?
I'm very tired, but I'll be all right.
Did you see anything?
Yes, there. I turn to Daniel and just say, "Would you forget everything that we've said to you? He's And then I turn back to Janina. He's all right for now. They're on their way back.
Okay, good.
Just
There's visible relief on my face.
And then just still sort of looking at Janina. Dominik is really hurting.
You mean on the inside?
Yes. I think he's going to need your support. I think he's going to need a lot of support. And then I turn to Daniel and just say, I'm sorry for bothering you with this. And I'm just clearly just mentally exhausted.
I offer Bea's support if she needs to lean on me.
I think while I'm sitting down, I'm all right. But yeah, I'll roll that self-control check.
Go for it. Difficulty 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that. That's 2 successes. So I think I will slightly slump and just kind of rest my head on her shoulder.
I just stroke your shoulder. You did good. Thank you so much. I'm glad they're safe and you're safe.
I just needed to know if it was urgent or not.
Do you need, I don't know, something? You seem exhausted.
A night off, but I don't think you can offer that for me.
Well,
Daniel looks to both of you. Should I give you a moment?
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
And thank you for listening.
It's
yes,
all
thank
right.
you.
I'm sorry. I couldn't do more, really.
Thank you for telling me to not be so dramatic. And slow down.
Well,
Let's get you to your room.
yeah, take care of yourself, Bea. You look rough.
You really do need a night off.
Right.
And I will have Bea walk back to our rooms, and I glanced at Daniel and nodded him.
He nods
Stay
at you,
safe.
just like an awkward way.
I'm probably I think I've linked arms with Janina, and I'm sort of using that as an excuse to sort of lean more heavily on her. Even though physically I'm fine, I'm just so tired.
You are feeling absolutely drained.
And I'm leading Bea to her room.
And you get there without issue.
And I sit with her on her bed. Do you need anything? You want me to bring something?
I don't know. I'll be all right. I'm going to have to apologize to Mr. Topolsky.
It's okay. We already went through so much together, and I'm sure he understands that we care about Dominik. It's fine. If I see him, I'm gonna go wait for them. And you rest, please. And if you need anything, I will be somewhere around the hotel, in the hotel or around. If I go out, it would be just for a moment. I don't think I will go anywhere tonight.
Well,
It's late.
do let him know that if he wants to talk to me about it, he's welcome to, but
Yes,
I just feel it wasn't really my place to see what happened, but just...
I know, but we did it with a good reason. I'm sure that he will appreciate the fact that we care.
I think, given what I've seen, both in visions and from that sequence, I think Dominik is really at risk of losing himself. I think he needs something to ground him, to keep him here. He's being pulled back towards, I presume, that house, back towards the lady. And
Okay, I will talk to Dominik And to Lucian.
If he doesn't... Well, if he ever wants to share his thoughts without talking, I'm happy to do that for him, but I understand that's quite a personal thing, and we don't know each other particularly well, so...
Of course, you need to rest right now, so no working.
No promises, but I'll try.
Please, you look so tired.
Yes, I suppose.
You should be just cuddling with your man.
Yes, well, unfortunately, we're both busy people.
I know. So rest and just gather some mental strength back.
And if you want to talk, either you can come to me.
I know I always can count on you. I love you, and I stroke her hair and kiss her on the forehead before I get up.
I love you too.
Thank you again for helping us.
Of course.
It was so strange to see that, but
what does it look like? I obviously don't know.
it looked like you're a dead person.
Oh, well, I suppose I am.
Well, you all kind of are, but I'm glad. Please don't do this in anywhere where you aren't safe.
I assure you that's not my intention. Certainly not when I'm out on the street, anyway.
Yes, that wouldn't end up well for you.
That would certainly frighten some bystanders.
Okay, I'll leave you to it, and I go. I don't know. I'm gonna go wait for Dominik and Lucian. Talk to you when you feel better, or maybe in the morning, or our morning.
Yes. Send them both my best, would you?
I will.
And I just kind of flop back on the bed.
And I leave.
All right. And where are you heading, Janina, to wait for them?
I think I will go downstairs somewhere like in the reception area. So I had a good, so I didn't miss them.
So you had it there, and what's running through your head? Do you have any particular thoughts about what Bea just told you?
Well, I think about Dominik, and I worry about him because I know he hasn't been doing well since he got back. And now Bea told me that he's really hurting, and I worry for him. And I'm trying to figure out how can I help him, but I really don't know what to do to help him ground himself. I know he loves Lucian and dancing is his passion, but what else does he have that I could use to help him? So that's probably running through my head as I'm sitting there. And I think it makes me feel about Nastya because I also couldn't help her when she needed me. So I don't know, it feels kind of like I imagine how Lucian must feel.
Yes, and you remember he made that connection himself when he came to talk to you before.
Yes.
And you wait for some time, maybe half an hour. When you see them walk in, you see Lucian in his light blue coat, leading Dominik, who is not even bothering with more clothing than his loose trousers and a shirt, wearing his mortal face. And as they come in, the lobby is quite empty now. The cafe is already closed. There aren't really people. You see that they are walking next to each other. Dominik is walking on the right side of Lucian, who is glancing to him, almost wanting to extend a hand, but then he doesn't. And Dominik looks to him, and roll your perception and empathy actually as well. Difficulty 6.
Okay, I have 2 successes.
So you see that Lucian is worried and wanting to do something, and at the same time frustrated and almost kind of hurt and offended. And Dominik is looking with this guilt and hurt and desire, his overwhelming emotions, but he's also just ashamed, and you see that he is definitely holding something back, and they look like two people who have had quite a bad argument.
Okay, when I see them, I get up and I go towards them.
As you do, they kind of look to you, both surprised, kind of pulled out of their own thoughts as you materialize in front of them.
I come up to Dominik and I just give him a hug. Surprise hug.
So he goes at first, he goes kind of rigid, and then he almost slumps forward and wraps his arms around you and says, Janina, and he's shaking.
I hug him tightly back, and I was so worried about you. And I hug him and I glance at Lucian and I say to him, Bea says she's sorry, but we had to make sure you were okay.
It's all right. I appreciate it. Please, thank Miss Wozniak.
I will. She's just very tired right now. But she wanted to apologize for intruding, but we had to. Sorry.
There is no need to apologize. We're all right now.
I'm glad. I just keep holding Dominik and I just stroke his back.
He doesn't really say anything. He's just shaking.
Please don't leave us again. We love you.
I just can't take it.
Do you want to talk about it with me alone?
And he glances to Lucian and glances to you. I don't know.
I'm not alone in this. We're here.
I know. Maybe. Oh, all right.
Well, it doesn't.
If that's okay, he says to.
Well, it doesn't have to be right now. I know you're shaken. It's just I want to be there for you, and I know you're in pain.
Lucian says, if you want to talk, just Dominik, please come back to our room after. Please don't leave.
I won't let him leave. Promise.
And Lucian just nods his head, and he kind of reluctantly, glancing over his shoulder with worry,
poor man,
walks away and leaves you in the lobby.
Do you want to stay here, or do you want to go to your room?
Well, I share a room with Lucian,
okay.
so.
Oh. All right, I'm sorry. didn't occur to me. And I add like embarrassing giggle.
He kind of smiles and shakes his head, but you feel that he does find it amusing, but there's so little joy in him that it feels kind of empty.
I just grab his hand and I lead him towards a seat somewhere here.
There are some seats on the balcony over the lobby, and you start heading there to talk. Meanwhile, Bea, you lay down on a bed, feeling absolutely mentally drained.
Pulled out my journal and just sort of, with the sort of lazy writing of somebody who's kind of lying on their side, I'm making a note of what happened. It's the best of my ability. And then glancing at my to-do list and feeling guilty for stopping, feeling guilty for not doing other things. And there's a little part of me that's feeling guilty for having tired myself out doing something for myself rather than for the camarilla. But at the same time, there's another part of me that, whilst Dominik doesn't go out and do tasks, to me, he's still a part of the camarilla. He is a member. He's literally here. And I find it frustrating that he would be so easily forgotten or left, or something to happen. And I think that sort of bubbles into sort of a feeling of sadness for him. And I'm just frustrated and sad and tired and over emotional.
And as you're lying there, there's just something in you, this strange sense or memory of your mother, Felicia, comforting you and taking pain away. And you feel something in you longing for it and longing for her. Just these feelings you don't control bubbling to the surface as you're so exhausted.
I miss her so badly. And I just want her here. I think there ends up being a few sort of loose tears shed. And I look around my room, feeling very small. I'm wishing that Mother was here.
And you lie there for some time not really being clear. You know it's not very far off from the morning. There's still a little bit of time left. But before it gets too late, you hear knocking on the door.
I sort of pull myself to my feet, the slight sluggishness, and head towards the door and open it.
And before that you even open, you hear Antoni's voice asking, Bea, are you in there? It's me.
Yes. And there is a smile that comes to my face when I hear him. And there is a relief.
Do you clean your tears?
I think I would have wiped my cheeks, like out of frustration. There might be a little bit of residue blood under the lashes, but I've not taken great pains to clear it.
Okay. And are you trying to hide your emotional state from Antoni?
I think I'm so tired and I'm just relieved that he's here, and I think that I just don't really think to. So I don't think I do.
So you open the door and he looks to you and he's smiling and then immediately looks really concerned.
I think I just pull him in. In fact, I need to roll for that. I forgot about that.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. My brain.
Did we say it's difficulty 7 or 6 already for Antoni?
I think it was
6.
Yeah. Well, that's a good roll. So.
All right, you pull him in, no problem.
Yeah, and just wrap my arms around his waist and just rest my head on his chest.
He hugs you, closing the door behind him. Just asks, did something happen? Are you okay? Come on. Come, go sit down. And he's leading you towards a chair that's in the room or towards the bed and just directing you to lie down or sit down, whatever you prefer.
And I think I just sort of end up sort of leaning against him because I've been lying by myself for so long that I just need to feel that he's there, even though there's still that sort of discomfort, which is growing a little easier or has been over than it has been over the last few weeks. But leaning against him, I just sigh and just go, it got resolved. Just long night. Just,
aren't they always?
You're not wrong.
Well, perception and empathy.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Insightful or hidden pain?
I don't think in this case.
Okay, that's fine. 2, 4, 7 successes. Jesus Christ, Bea.
That's without your specialties.
That's without specialties.
Right. So you see very clearly that when he came here, he wanted to see you. There was always also something on his mind, maybe worrying him that he wanted to talk to you about, but now he's pushing it back and he's kind of thinking, should he bring it back? Should he bring it up? Should he wait? He doesn't want to worry you, so he's leaning towards waiting.
Then seeing that, I'll sort of sit up and just go, I just need a moment to be dramatic and try and lighten the mood somewhat.
You look exhausted.
I'll be all right. I promise I'll be all right. Is something the matter? You look like you needed to talk as well.
Well, it's not about me. I'm not sure if you recall when I was leaving tonight earlier. You had a wound, and he almost like instinctively reaches to like have a look at your chest, but then catches himself and stops. It looked like some kind of writing. I had to go. I was already late, but
I know. I'm sorry for worrying you. After having spent the evening sort of looking back through my notes and after having interacted with Mr. Topolsky and had some of that brought back up through Dominik, has that brought back like any sort of inkling as to where that might have come from?
Yes. I mean, I would say there is definitely a feeling of connection between Mr. Topolsky, Dominik, and
the word promise carved into my chest.
And if you were looking for your notes, I'm not sure how much Bea would have written afterwards about everything that has happened. But she did recall the event on several occasions, so I would imagine something would have made its way in there.
That's fair, and I think because I have spent quite a lot of this night going back and forth through my notes, I think that I've probably managed to make the connection. At which point I sigh and say, it was from the house with Mitsumitsu.
What do you mean from the house?
And I'll try to explain to him as best I can with the sort of hazy recollection that I don't quite recall. And I think I will say as such to him that I don't quite recall exactly how it happened, but I know that I came back with it after we went to rescue Dominik. And that it left this feeling of a responsibility unfulfilled. And through the notes that I have, that I confessed what happened to the Primogen and former Ventry Primogen. And I just give him as best an explanation as I can.
And he listens, and you see immediate worry in him and anger, not at you, but at something. But mostly worry and concern. All right, so I would imagine that is to do with your task.
Yes. And then I remember some other phrases that I've said to him in the past. I needed to make up for mistakes.
There's nothing you need to make up for. If you are worried about, well, I mean, I don't know what exactly you mean, but if you're worried about your responsibilities here, you don't have to.
It's more internal. It's my feeling of responsibility to those around me, to my sect. And what happened with Daniel, and
all right, I know you already. I don't know if I could get you out of it, even if I wanted right now, after you spoke to the Primogen, and well, I don't imagine the Tremere will want to back out of any of this.
And I look up at him and just press my fingers to his face. It's okay. And
I'm worried about you, Bea.
I'm sorry. You've got so much on your plate already.
And you see that he's considering something, and there is this worry and wanting to do something, take responsibility. And then you also see certain uneasiness about that, certain shame, certain feeling of, the sort of unease, I think is the best word here. And he considers something for a moment.
I just press my palm to the side of his face and give him a moment, but if he doesn't say anything, then I'll just murmur, talk to me.
All right. And you see that he decides to go for it, despite certain misgivings. I would like you to have some of my vita, and I would like to have some of your vita. And in that way, whenever someone asks, whatever someone thinks we are together, and I am responsible for you, and I hope that will be enough to cause some people to consider that I consider you my responsibility.
That it unsettles you.
It's nothing. And you see that he dismisses it very quickly because he doesn't want to tell you why that is.
And I sort of give him a long look. Like, I'm not judging him, I'm just leaving the space open for him in case he does want to continue talking.
He doesn't. And because you rolled pretty well, you rolled much better than him, you see that he doesn't want to discuss it. He has made up his mind, and there is this unease about something that might be related, but he decided that he's not going to let it distract him from this. And he just says, I want to offer this. I want to do this.
And I would lean forward and rest my forehead against his. And I sort of think of how to respond, because I think partially I'm just really tired and trying to think of how to reply to this. I've not had this request before, so it's not like I'm. No, I don't know where that sentence was going. I'm just leaning against him, just murmur. Only if you're content to go through with this. I don't wish to be a burden to you.
I am.
And I press a kiss to his forehead.
He smiles and kisses you on the mouth gently. And then he just leans his head back, taking his shirt off his neck.
And I lean forward, and at first I just press a kiss. And then I lean forward and bite them.
And you feel his body relax a bit in pleasure.
My hand sort of goes into his hair. I stroke his hair as I let the taste of his vitae into my mouth. And take a moment to just have this moment of intimacy, of closeness.
And it's pleasurable, and his vita tastes delicious and sweet, like only kindred vita can.
But I don't want to take too much. And with that little bit of hesitation, because I'm enjoying the intimacy of it, but still quickly, because I don't want to hurt him. I lean back and very, I guess, lovingly close the wound.
And he didn't quite become overwhelmed by pleasure at any point, but he smiles at you. at his head.
I think again, I just, as I sort of finished closing the wound, pressed another kiss. And then lean back and push my blouse to the side.
And you feel him doing similar thing. He first gently kisses you, and then you feel a sharp bite. And please roll your self-control with difficulty 8.
Oh boy. Does that get affected by willpower at all?
No, I don't think so.
Cool. That's fine. Difficulty 8, you say?
8.
I'm gone.
You're gone, so you feel this overwhelming pleasure, something as restful, nice, pleasurable as you don't remember when you last felt that way, and you disappear in it completely.
My body just slumps into him. There's a soft sort of exhale of breath from my mouth, and I just lose myself in it.
And you do. Meanwhile, Janina, you sit with Dominik, who is shaking, trying to control himself, but very tense, clearly very distressed. He's, thank you. I'm sorry I worried you.
No, both me and Bea and Diana, we were all.
Can you speak up just a tiny bit? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I usually speak quietly, so it's weird.
That's fair.
Okay, so we were all worried about you, me, Bea, Diana, and I'm just glad that you're safe. And I just place my hand on his and squeeze it. Tell me what's going on. I mean, I know you haven't been happy since you got back, but
you feel he squeezes your hand back, but very weakly. And when you were saying that everyone was worried about him, you just see this guilt and shame in his face. And then you ask the question, and he just shakes his head. I don't know how to explain. I don't want to worry anybody. I'm
not worrying anybody when you're saying how you feel. We need to know so we could be there for you and help you.
I feel awful. I'm sorry, I can't.
But why? Because of your look? Or I just don't understand what's going on.
Well, it's definitely part of it. For a moment, I looked like myself again. And it hurts physically, and it hurts to look in the mirror, and it hurts to catch a glimpse of one of my hands.
I take his hand in mine and I just lovingly stroke it. I'm sorry you feel this way, but everyone loves you. We see past this. We see the real you.
But I don't. I don't love myself like this. I hate it.
I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to help you, but I want to be there for you. I want you to talk to Lucian. Don't leave him.
He knows this. He says the same stuff. He says he doesn't care. And I know he doesn't.
Where did you go when you left today?
Doesn't matter. I was stupid.
Did you went back to the house? Or
Well, perception and empathy again read through him because he is pulling back now.
what is the difficulty?
Difficulty is 6.
Okay, 3 successes.
3 successes. Yeah, you beat him a bit. So he said he shakes his head, but you see the moment you ask the question that he was going there.
Please, that place. They won't help you.
You don't get it, Janina. I know you try to, and I know you care for me, but you don't. And I'm
sorry.
It's fine. It was stupid. I'm just gonna stay here. I don't want to worry anybody. And you see that he kind of, he means that he doesn't want to worry anybody, but he's also saying that out of frustration. And you see there is clearly something he is not telling you. He focuses on talking about how he looks, which is a real cause of pain, but that's not everything.
Why do you want to go back?
I don't know. Janina, please, this is...
Calm down. Just breathe. I know
we don't breathe.
I know, but do it anyway.
Okay.
We'll call me. Just deep breaths.
Right. Okay.
And I breathe with him.
And he does that. He focuses on that for a moment. I'm sorry, I didn't want to worry anybody.
I know you don't. We love you and we worry, and especially Lucian. You're the most important person in his life. You should share everything with him. I lost Nastya and it hurts so much. And I keep telling myself that I could have helped her if only, well, I don't think she knew what was going on. But if she knew and she didn't tell me, the guilt I would feel, well, I feel guilty, but even more guilt that I would feel if things were the same, but I knew that she knew how she felt and didn't tell me. Just be honest with Lucian about everything, even things that you are afraid to tell me.
And you see that he's clearly just afraid of saying something and ashamed of something. And he doesn't want to hurt Lucian. And he's worried that Lucian will get angry.
Dolores thought, did he find a lover?
What are Janina's thoughts?
I think she sees that he's afraid, but she isn't sure. She knows that it has to be something, just something had to happen to him in the house, but she doesn't know how to make him open up.
As you're talking to him, roll your charisma and persuasion with difficulty 9.
Okay.
Do you wish to spend willpower? Too late.
No, too late, but I have 1 success.
All right. So he kind of listens to you saying, maybe, but I don't want to worry him.
He will be worried much more if he's kept in the dark. Just be honest. I know he loves you and he might be angry, but it's better to be angry and not feel alone. We're not alone. We are all in this together. You're my friend. And Bea cares about you too, and Diana. She was worried sick.
I know, I don't want to worry anybody. I'm sorry.
You don't have to apologize. Just try to be honest. It's okay. We can take it. We will worry, but it's better to not be kept in the dark. Just let us understand. Try to understand you, and we will protect you.
Because you had one success, he looks to you and says, I keep thinking about her.
How do you?
I can't forget her. No.
Did you drink her blood?
And you know he doesn't want to answer, but you do see that the answer is yes.
Okay.
But he just nods his head. That can't quite bring himself to say it.
It's okay. I think you should speak with Bea. She has also met with the lady. And maybe Bea could help you to understand more about yourself, about what happened there. She's very good at this.
Maybe. I don't know her that well, to be honest. I know you two are close.
I would trust her with my life, and she's the reason why we were able to figure out that you were safe.
Maybe.
She was there all the time. I know she mainly went to keep me company when we went to save you from the house. But she was there, and she cares about you. And I'm sure she would love to meet you on a more personal level.
I'll think about that, okay?
Okay. I'm not gonna be
Don't
you.
Tell this to anyone, please.
I won't tell, promise.
Thank you.
And Janina thinking just about.
Right, well, roll your manipulation and subterfuge then.
Oh no. I will spend the willpower on this.
All right. Difficulty is 6. It's an opposed roll.
Okay, so 2 successes with the willpower roll.
So as you're thinking that, you can see that he sees right through you. I'm sorry, he rolled like 5 successes. And he looks to you. Janina, please, promise.
Okay, I'm sorry. I promise.
If I'm ready, I will talk to others, but please.
Okay, I will not tell. I promise. I will not tell even Bea.
Do you mean it this time?
I mean it, but I will say also to him. But I hope you really come to her or to Lucian. I mean, to me as well, but you're not alone. I will not tell anyone. Promise.
Oh.
I just want you to be safe.
I know. I'll think about it. I should get back to Lucian. It's getting late.
Okay. Do you want me? I will escort you back to your room. I promise, Lucian. And I just give him.
So I'm not gonna run into the sunlight.
I know, but I want to, and I just offer him up.
Janina, please. Okay, roll your charisma and persuasion, this time with difficulty 7, because you are friends, definitely.
Okay, 2 successes.
Then he says, Janina, please, but then as you offer your arm and take his hand, he just kind of lets you do it. And you accompany him back to the room that he shares with Lucian.
And I give him a hug before I leave. I'm not like waiting for him to go inside. I just lead him towards the door and I give him a big hug.
And he hugs you.
I love you, Dominik. Everything's gonna be okay. Just don't give up on anyone, and especially not on yourself.
Thank you.
You have a place here. And you have people who love you. Keep that in mind. And I hope when you feel safe, you talk and open up to people.
Thank you.
Give him a kiss on the cheek and leave him.
And he goes
go
back
to my room.
towards his room. And you go to your room. And you are feeling quite tired right now. So you don't really have much time before it's time to go to bed. Do you get ready or do you just lie down in all your clothes?
I just lie down. I just lie down and hug a pillow on myself and just sigh. It was a hard day, but I'm glad. I'm so relieved that he's back, but I worry about him so much. And part of me really wants to talk to Bea and tell her about everything, but I know I will try to keep my promise unless I feel that he's in danger and I don't know, things are getting worse. But for now, I want to give him a few days to talk to someone on his own.
And with those thoughts, you fall asleep. Meanwhile, Bea, you come to with the feeling of having experienced great, intoxicating, overwhelming pleasure. You feel a bit weak at first. The feeling is returning very quickly. You feel Antoni's arms around you.
And I think sort of during that moment, there's none of that discomfort from physical touch. I'm just still sort of lost in the hazy pleasure. And just instinctually, I reach up and kiss him on the mouth.
And he kisses you.
It's just the taste of our shared vitae sort of lingering in the kiss.
Yes, and he pulls you closer into an embrace and kisses you passionately.
Just cling to him.
It is now quite late. You are beginning to feel quite tired.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, he pulls away reluctantly and asks, "Should I stay?"
Yes. Always. And
Come on then.
I just lean into him again.
And he leans into you and pulls you onto the bed and hugs you, pulling you into an embrace and kissing you. His hands wandering a bit around your body, very gently, and then more passionately. But he doesn't do anything more than that for now. And unless you want to do anything else, you fall asleep like that, with him, with this, I think, still lingering memory of pleasure and his closeness. And I think that's a good moment for a break. We will be back in about 15 minutes. Thank you all so much for staying with us and hope to see you after the break.
See you.
See you.
Bye.
And welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. And let's just jump right back in with Janina. Not long after the sun has set over Warsaw, you wake up in your room.
I'm probably still holding on that pillow.
You are indeed.
I snuggle with the pillow for a bit, and just because I'm lazy, I like to get up, and I still want to feel the body more. And after a while, I get up and go towards the window do my usual look if it's apocalypse outside or not.
It is not apocalypse outside. It is, well, quite a usual day in a ruined city. It is snowing slightly. You see, it has snowed a bit more during the day, clearly, and now some last snowflakes are still falling from the sky. You see various groups of people walking past each other, some laughing. You see a couple walking past arguing. You see a woman walking with two children who run ahead, trying to form snowballs out of snow and throw at each other.
I watch the kids for a bit and then just think about what I want to do tonight. I want to catch up with Vera. I want to maybe visit the hospital and to see her.
You wanted, I'm not sure if you want to do this tonight, but you spoke with Bea about introducing her to Hannah as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I'll offer it to Bea, but I know she's a busy girl, so.
She is that indeed. And you spend some time at the window. Do you want to wait for Bea to wake up?
Probably wait for the usual time that she is waking up.
And you're waiting for a little bit of time. Meanwhile, Bea, you don't remember your dreams. They weren't the nightmares that usually torment you, or at least on occasion torment you. Maybe not usually. You remember a vague sense of being with Felicia, of her presence near you, of calm and love that you feel for her. And then you wake up and you feel somebody's arms around you as you are locked in embrace by Antoni.
Should I make a self-control check?
Yes, please do.
Try not to immediately freak out first thing in the evening. 2 successes. I'm all right.
You're all right.
So, there's a brief sort of moment of the sort of shudder, like as I'm sort of coming to and realizing that there's something holding me, and then upon seeing him, there's this weird sensation where there's some disappointment that it isn't Felicia, but there's also delight that there's him. And I just lie there, sort of watching his face for a moment.
He's still asleep. You see his face is pale looking, fairly dead right now as he's still sleeping.
I shuffle slightly so that I can sit up but pull him so that he can lean on me, so he can rest. And I sort of lie there I pull my journal onto my lap and I'm just going through things, but just resting my head on his, and just enjoying being with him, occasionally turning and pressing a kiss into his hair. And growing quite used to his scent and liking the way that it mingles with mine. And then I sort of turn my focus slightly more back to my journal,
Right.
although I am distracted.
important question to Janina. How quickly you want to go to catch up with Bea? Do you aim to be there soon after she wakes up?
I think I know that she might have Anthony over, so I think I'm gonna wait slightly, like 10 minutes after she wakes up.
All right.
To give them like time.
Okay. So, Bea, you turn your attention more to your journal and you manage to go through some of it while being distracted when there's a knocking on your door.
Sort of shuffle out of the tangle and try and sort of rest him as gently as I can, and then head to the door, sort of trying to smooth my hair as best I can.
You realize you're still in your clothes that you were wearing yesterday that are maybe
Rumpled.
a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
That's fair. There's not much I can do about it now. So I go and I answer the door.
It's me,
just kind of
Janina. Hi. Are you alone?
No.
Sorry,
Sorry.
You're almost inaudible there. Oh.
My apologies.
No worries.
No, I'm not.
And I give her a cheeky smile.
He's still sleeping.
Okay. I just wanted to tell you that I met with Dominik and Lucian, and they're safely home. And I relayed your apologies to Lucian, but he said that no apologies were needed, and that you can always talk to him and stuff. And same with Dominik. I asked Dominik to come and maybe talk to you about his feelings about the house stuff, so he might somewhere in the future when he's comfortable he might reach out to you.
Okay, I'll write that down then.
And I'm gonna leave you to Robert.
Shall I see you at your room, or?
I'm probably gonna go out. I
Okay.
want to feed and I want to visit the hospital and maybe Hannah. I want to introduce you to Hannah, but I'm not sure when you're free, and I know you're busy.
I'll probably have a couple of things to check on tonight, but
maybe tomorrow.
I mean, she's always well. Has she been here before?
No, she hasn't. She's been staying at our Haven, and I wasn't sure to bring her here yet.
Okay. Well, we can always head over at some point. Let me know when you're back. I should be around the building this evening.
All right. I will check in with you. Have a good day. Do you have anything like serious plans?
Just a couple of small tasks. Nothing major. Like I said, shouldn't be leaving the building. So.
Okay, good. Just be safe.
You too.
And thank you again for helping yesterday.
Of course. Take care.
Take care and say hi to Anthony from me.
I will.
And I try to peek in the door.
Given I'm shorter, that's probably not hard.
Yeah, you do see someone's clearly lying on the bed, still in clothes from yesterday.
Okay. And
I'm trying to shoo her.
And I smile and leave.
Just sort of rolling my eyes, but like a fond exasperation, I close the door and then return back to bed and try and subtly get my way back into the tangle.
So as you're trying to do that, Anthony stirs and opens his eyes.
I smile upon seeing him and lean down and kiss him.
He smiles at you and then kisses you for a moment. Bea, how are you feeling?
I'm all right. Better for seeing you. How are you?
Happy to be here with you. Sorry, I probably have to leave in a moment.
That's fair. I understand. But I will lean down and kiss him again.
He lets you do that and doesn't seem to be in that much of a hurry to move. But eventually, he sits up.
Sort of as he's sitting up, I've sort of reached over and I've brought a hairbrush and I'm sort of sorting my hair, and I will turn to him and say, you know, you're welcome to leave clothes or anything here to save you having to run back.
I could do, although it's not a long way, so I don't know if I'll remember to given everything.
Fair enough.
But
I'm just being selfish and wanting to claim an extra couple of minutes of your time.
I appreciate that. I wish I didn't have to go. But, well,
duty calls.
I'm afraid it never stops.
I will lean over and wrap my arms around him. And if you need to talk about anything, my darling, I'm here for you.
I appreciate it.
I kiss him on the forehead.
He leans into you. Little. You know, when I was, younger, I joked with myself sometimes in my head that if I'm slightly late somewhere, nothing's going to crumble. But it's looking like it's less and less true with every night.
And just wrap him tighter in my arms. It's a very difficult time.
It really is. But enough of that.
We've just got to make our way through it.
Yes, we do. And he looks, and there is this, it's not even like pain as such, but just feeling of having a lot on his mind as he's now returning in his thoughts to everything that's going on, that he needs to see to, that he needs to check in on.
Okay. Seeing that, I will cut both sides of his face and look him dead in the eye and just say, let's get through this together.
Let's
find out what's on the other side.
Just be careful, all right?
You too.
I am as much as I can.
I know. And then I just lean in and kiss him while still clutching his face.
And he kisses you back, clearly in no hurry to leave. But eventually, he says,
I will let him go.
I better get going. What are your plans for tonight?
Janina wanted to talk. That reminds me, I did manage to speak to her yesterday. But I'm going to continue keeping an eye on her. She doesn't seem to have any immediate plans of recklessness, but I worry that if something were to crop up.
I know. Well, thank you. I hope you can spot it if something like that appears and we can intervene to keep her safe.
Indeed. I'll keep that up. She dropped by earlier and said to say hi. I say with a slightly exasperated smile.
You can say hello to her back.
I will do so.
Well, if I find a moment, I'll try to stop by. If not, well, I want to find you before dawn.
Yes, I'd like that.
Right, I will see you later. Stay safe, Beatrice.
You too, Anthony.
He says, and he kisses you one last time before leaving you in your room.
I find myself just smiling to myself for a minute. Then I'll get ready.
And then you start getting ready. Meanwhile, Janina, you leave Hotel Bristol.
Yes. And
as you are leaving, you see in the cafe there is clearly some preparations going on. People are putting up some decorations, and you kind of didn't really think of that, but as you look at the decorations, they are the New Year's decoration, and you realize New Year's Eve is tomorrow.
Okay.
And then you leave the hotel.
I make a mental note of that. I think I just stopped celebrating any holidays, especially like probably even like when I was still like a human during the war and stuff. So, but I make a mental note of that. And not that I would plan any celebration, but I make a mental note of that. I go out and I'm trying to feed, but I'm feeling kind of nervous about that after what happened last time.
Yes, you remember the man you left dead.
Yeah, I feel pretty like satisfied right now that I'm not hungry at all, but still there's like part of me that doesn't really want to do it because I'm afraid. I know that it's better to do it now while I'm feeling well. So I'm trying to be responsible, but there is like anxiety inside of me because I just remember what happened last time.
You
and
do.
Sometimes before time.
Yes, it's not the first time that you killed somebody when feeding. But you
Probably
look,
not even second.
no. But you look for another victim, is that right?
Yes.
Then roll your wits and alertness with difficulty 7.
Okay, I have 3 successes, 3 sevens.
Then you wander off from the hotel a little bit, looking for someone who would be easy to drink from. It takes you a little bit of time, as it's still not that late. There's quite a few people around, but you know how to wait more patiently in smaller streets among the ruins. And eventually you see a young man walking through. He is carrying a couple of bottles of what looks, well, you're not quite sure what it is. He doesn't look to be drunk, but he's clearly carrying something with him just under his arm, maybe heading to a party or something. And he is coming, like if you're standing on the side, he's kind of coming from behind you.
Okay. I will slow down slowly and maybe try to like pretend that I'm like tying my shoes if I'm wearing like shoes that can be tied. So
you can pretend to do that. Roll your Manipulation and subterfuge. Difficulty 6.
I have 3 6s. Wow. Before it was 3 7s, now 3 6s. Apparently I
Right.
roll in pairs.
The man gives you a glance, but doesn't really seem to pay much attention to you and continues on wanting to pass
soon
you
as
and be on his way.
Past me and he doesn't look at me, then I get up and slowly and try to sneak behind him and drink from him.
So do you try to sneak up on him or do you try to just grab him?
I try to run, but try to do it lightly.
You can't quite run sneakily.
I know, but I'm trying to be light about it, be careful.
You're trying to be quick about it.
Quick, but also careful. I don't know.
Right. Roll your dex, brawl, and celerity, and we'll see how that turns out.
Okay.
Difficulty 6.
Okay. I have a lot of successes because I have a lot of dice and I have 8 successes.
Yeah, no problem. You had 1. So you're not really quiet as such, but you are very quick. You don't make unnecessary sound. You basically, the moment he passed you, you pound up from when you were pretending to tie your shoelace, and you grab him quickly and bite into his neck. And how much do you drink?
2. I have 10 right now. So
yeah, that's all you need.
Just drink 2.
He goes limp in your arms. The bottles he was carrying fall to the ground and smash there.
No, I feel guilty about that, but I just try to lean him on, next to the building, just so he. And I know he's okay, but I still just probably spent longer with him than I would normally do because I'm just so anxious.
Right. Let's see. He starts coming to quite quickly, quicker than you expected. And then, do you stay when you realize he's moving and opening his eyes?
When I see that he's waking up and stuff, I just murmur, "Sorry, sir, I hope you're okay," and just run away.
Roll your. Do you want to get away as quickly as possible?
Yes.
Roll your dex, athletics, and I guess celerity.
Okay.
You can also spend the blood points to use your celerity and definitely get away.
Now I'm gonna roll.
Right.
What was the difficulty?
Difficulty 6.
3 successes.
3?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he makes a move, he wants to grab your hand instinctively, but you start running, and you hear his voice just, hey, what happened? Hey. But you're off and away from there.
Poor guy is gonna be so disappointed if he's going to the party.
And you're away,
Yes,
leaving him behind, having fed.
I'm just glad that it went okay and nothing happened. I feel slightly guilty over the bottles because I know everything is expensive and I just feel bad, but not nearly as bad as I would feel if something happened to him. So,
yes.
Small victory.
You didn't kill him, so that's something.
My turn, I think. This stuff. And I'm trying to walk towards the hospital to see Mr. Potocki.
No problem at all. You start heading there. It will take you. It's a little bit of a walk, maybe half an hour, but you'll get there, no problem. Meanwhile, Bea. You stayed in your room, you're getting ready. You
Yes.
managed to reapply your makeup, put on some new clothes.
Look less like someone who just slept in their clothing.
Yes.
And I've made a note about what Janina said to me about how Dominik might come looking for me. I'm sort of looking at my to-do list. I know that I need to check in on Arek. I think that I might as well do that before I get sidetracked by something, because it's been that sort of a day or a couple of days. So I'll head down towards the basement.
So you are heading straight there. You have the key now to the basement. You open the first door, behind which there is just a staircase leading down. And you step down and you are outside. Another door, you feel some of the heat coming from behind the door.
Okay.
Oh.
Was I given a key for both of the doors?
Yes, you do. You do.
Okay.
You can open the door.
Okay. I think just before I enter, I've sort of, having read through my journal, I focus once again on Arek and my guilt at him being stuck here, and how sad it is to see him in the way that he is, although I don't quite remember what state he was in last time I saw him. And I focus on those feelings. And let everything else sort of fade away. And then glancing around, feeling guilty for being here, I let myself in.
You walk into the basement, the heating room. You see the pipes that cover the walls, the furnace in the adjacent room, some coal that's stored there. And you see in the middle of a room, metal table, an Arek lying on there, still with stake through his heart, his limbs dried out, shriveled, his face locked in this terrified and pained expression.
I slowly approach him, and I will roll self-control to see whether I'm able to touch him.
Right. Difficulty. Gonna say 8 for Arek because he's the source of this whole trauma.
That's fair. 2 successes.
All right, then.
So,
You can make yourself do this.
yeah, part of me, it's sort of like looking at him, there's like this feeling of both fear and guilt and pity and wanting to help him, and shame. But I push through it and lean down and just run my hand across the top of his head gently.
He doesn't move at all, doesn't react, you know he can't.
I take a moment just watching him motionless, and then I'd like to push my way into his head.
Then spend a point of willpower. And roll your intelligence and subterfuge And I mean, the difficulty is basically don't have more wants than other things.
Oh boy. Yeah, it's all good. Shockingly, yeah.
With no problem, no resistance from his exhausted mind. You make your way in, look into his thoughts, and you see at first, immediately, this longing and certain relief at recognizing you, mixed with fear, expectation of pain, and impulse to recoil from you, which he can't do.
And I just sort of stay sort of half standing, half like hunched in the dark with him, just trying to offer him some source of comfort, and sort of glancing over him. And then as I'm sort of observing his withered limbs and trying to think about how I'd get him out of here, I'm coming to the realization that he's probably going to need blood, and that I'm going to need to acquire some of that.
Do you share those thoughts with him, or do you
No.
keep that?
I think I keep that. I don't think I'm actively sharing thoughts with him right now. I'm just keeping it attuned to what he's thinking. Right. But it is something I acknowledge to myself.
So as you're standing there thinking, from him, you get this certain, like he's getting unnerved by your presence, but nothing from you. This almost wanting to call out to you, to reach out for you, but also to lash out. There's this anger, there's this expectations that you're just waiting and you're going to hurt him.
And I sort of look at him and just murmur to him, I'm going to get you out of here one of these nights. I'm going to get you out of here.
And you feel hope and disbelief.
I just need a plan. I know where to take you. I just need to get you there.
As you're saying that, you see the flashing images in his head. There's a face of a Nosferatu with a dislocated jaw. There's a few other faces reminding you of Sabat. There is Lady Leocadia and her bodyguard. And this longing, and then brief images of corridors of Hotel Bristol, an image of getting up, his claws out, ripping at Mr. Cernovsky, an immediate guilt over the feeling, and then feeling of falling to his knees, hope that he will be forgiven, and fear and self-disgust, and hope to what you're saying, and disbelief.
And I bite my lip and I'll think of something. I'll get you back to your people. I promise. I promised.
Roll your charisma and empathy with difficulty 7.
Charisma and empathy. That's a lot of 8s.
That's good.
Yeah. Okay, I've rolled 5 8s for some reason.
Is it everything?
And a 10. And a 10 in there, but I don't think polite, or I don't know. No. I don't think hidden pain's going to come into it either, so yeah.
But it's still a success.
Yes.
Right.
It's just
so it's 6 successes.
Yes.
Right. So as you're saying that, you hear your name in his thoughts. Going, Bear, Bear, and there's almost disbelief and longing and guilt and certain protectiveness that you feel from him there. And there's this longing for you, the feeling of you feel him wanting to trust you and beginning to trust you, and then catching himself like, no, idiot, you were always too trusting, you're always stupid. But then something in him still longs for you, and you see that he's beginning to trust you. You see that he wants to believe you and wants to hope that you'll succeed.
I think my other hand that isn't on his head leans down and takes his clawed hand and just squeezes it slightly.
And you feel him wanting to squeeze your hand back on an instinct to hold on to you. But of course, he can't move. And then there's frustration. And there's wanting to say a lot of things to you, to apologize, to explain, to ask what you're doing here, what happened, to. And then there's shame and fear and not wanting to push you away. And he desperately wants to hold your hand, to keep you close. But his hand, his shriveled, dried out hand, doesn't move.
And sort of feeling this, the feeling of desperately wanting to help him, of desperately, like, of him being my friend, ultimately, the boy that I used to shelter together with, is coming back to me, and the sort of like desperation, I just rest my forehead against his.
And you feel an impulse for him to hug you as this trust for you is winning over the distrust. And somewhere there, you feel that he's been hoping you would come visit him again, and he's been waiting, and there's nothing but pain except when you're here with him. And he wants to reach out to you and pull you close and hug you, but of course, he doesn't move.
In which case, sort of, after I've spent a decent length of time with him, I will actually lean down and give him a slightly awkward hug, since he can't hug back, and also he's on a table.
Yes.
But just rest myself against the top of his torso briefly. Just say, I'm going to make a plan, and I'm going to get you out of here, and then you're going to be safe.
And you get from him this like words from him, please bear, and images of his pack, Lady Leocadia that he longs for, and her bodyguard Ivan he looks up to, and images of mountains, unclear images, something that he either doesn't remember clearly or haven't really seen, is imagined, and animals and running through it.
I'll get you back to them. I promise. And so with this sort of strengthened resolve, I squeeze his hand again, and I look him in the eye and say, I'll be back. I'll be back when I figure something out.
And you feel from him this feeling of not wanting you to go, not wanting you to leave him here alone with his thoughts. And then just asking, please get me out of here. Bea, please.
And as I'm looking at him, I just nod, and and then I sort of look him in the eye and wonder if I can take some of the hurt away. What's his primary emotion right now? Could I try and tell through or reading his aura?
I mean, you are looking into his mind.
That's true. I am in his head. I forgot about that.
Yeah. You feel like right now there's a mixture of this hope, but also fear at being left on his own and distress.
I don't really want to increase the fear, and I don't really want to decrease the hope. So I feel a little frustrated that there's not more that I could do.
You feel like there's these two emotions kind of battling in him right now.
Okay, yeah, and I don't really want to fiddle with that the wrong way, so I just give him a look that's a lot more determined now. I'm going to get you out. And with that, I pull back and glance back over my shoulder, sort of with a sort of worried look, just in case, because I wasn't massively aware of my surroundings.
It's just you in this dark basement.
And then I move quietly out of the room.
And you leave him behind. How are you feeling as you're leaving the basement?
Frightened that what I'm going to have to do is dangerous, and ashamed that it would betray everyone's trust, but I need to get him to safety. He's my friend, and this isn't right. And I promised. And so I think I end up how long? I don't think I would have a good idea as to how long blood would last once it's taken out. Like,
sorry, taken.
Sorry. I was train of thought died midway through. I know I've broken into hospitals before to steal blood. I'm basically I'm now trying to plan as to how I would acquire blood for him.
So, I mean, you would know that when Janina brought some blood, it was preserved to last for some time. You're not sure for how long.
Okay.
You're like vaguely aware of Janina doing something like that.
Yeah. And that guilt sort of twists again, because I'd have to lie to her about what I was using that for. And I can't quite bring myself to steal her work and lie to her about it. There's something about that just feels incredibly offensive. So I think my brain's set more towards the idea of going to a hospital, even though it would be more convenient to ask Janina and manipulate her. I think just my entire gut just feels disgusted at the idea of doing that to her. So, and then I suddenly find myself sort of stressed and aware that I need to note this down before I forget it, but also I then need to forget about it because I can't let anyone know I thought this, because that's, if anyone finds out, that would be a lot of trouble. And as I'm opening my journal and I see the task list that's in the main page, there's then that horrible tearing dissonance as things start clicking together in this unsettled way. And I just feel quite sick, to be honest, and confused and muddled. And I think I end up just going back to my room because I feel so overwhelmed by the conflicting priorities and conflicting responsibilities and loyalties. And I think I just end up like overwhelmed and probably cry again, to be honest.
So you
And
go to your room.
And I feel really guilty towards Arek that wasn't honest. I thought it was honest, but was there something? Yeah.
Is there any thought that is at the moment winning out over what you want to do?
In terms of Arek or in terms
Arek, yes.
I think I'm actually quite confused.
All right.
And there's, unfortunately, the answer is both, and both is not an option, and that I am well aware of. And that makes me very uncomfortable. And I find myself just wanting to turn to Antoni and just, but then I also feel ashamed. I don't feel like I should go to him about this. I'm just frustrated, and I think the fact that I can't figure out which one's winning over, I think, is the most distressing to me.
And you sit in your room, confused and torn and distressed. Meanwhile, Janina, you get to the hospital without issue. And are you heading straight for Mr. Potocki's office?
I think today, yes.
So you see some light from the crack under the door. You see that someone is in. You hear someone moving some books in as you're coming up to the door.
I knock.
Come on in.
I open the door and smile. Good evening. Mr. Potocki.
Janina, a pleasure to see you. Please come in.
And I close the door behind me and sit somewhere on a chair.
Yeah, there is a chair. He sits at the other chair at his desk, turns towards you. How may I be of assistance?
I was recently approached by Kindred at our hotel, young Kindred, and she heard about our research and she wants to help. She feels that she isn't useful and she's pretty smart. So I was thinking about if there's anything she could do here.
Do you mean in the hospital in general, or
I meant more
in what we specifically
yes,
are doing?
In our project. I'm not sure. I don't think she would be interested in the normal hospital work.
Janina, I'm always happy to, well, guide a bright young person as much as I can. And I'm sure there is a lot that could be helped. I am only one person and not quite able to dedicate all my time to that particular endeavor. If I know Hannah, was it, young Miss Novak? She is eager to help naturally. And of course, I can instruct her and she will be able to perform some of the tasks, but she's not a trained medical professional or researcher. It will take time before she can cover it fully independently. So if you want to bring in someone to help you, it is your project, Janina. It is your decision.
I know. I just thought that I will talk with you about it, as you are also in this project, and I just don't want to bring anyone here without talking to you first.
I appreciate it.
And
If you trust this person and want to have her involved, I trust your judgment.
I don't know her all that well, but she's part of our society, and she's in the hotel. She's young. I don't have any reason to not to trust her. But I don't know. But she seems so sad that she doesn't feel useful, and that can feel really.
Janina, you don't have to convince me.
Okay.
I am happy to trust your judgment in this.
All right, then I will bring her here in some of the next nights if she's still interested. And
of course, introduce me, please.
Of course, I will introduce you. How are things going? I know we saw each other like a few nights ago, but
well, the project is not really progressing. I managed to extract a little bit of blood. If you want to drink it or take it.
Oh, I don't need
But
to.
there's only so much I can do as just one person.
Of course.
I can arrange a lot of resources here at the hospital, but part of my role means that I can't be down there at this project all the time.
No.
So more manpower will certainly be welcome.
Yes, I'm gonna check on Hannah later, and I will also see how she's doing.
As he's sort of talking, roll your perception and empathy, difficulty 6.
One success.
So you see that he is kind of tense, and his eyes keep darting towards your wrist. And he wants to kind of keep it under control, but his hands are shaking a little bit, and you see that it's like beginning to fail.
I give him a soft smile. Mr. Potocki, do you need this? And I just show him my wrist.
I'm afraid so. I would appreciate it.
No worries. I'm fully fed, and I can share with you. And I just cut my wrist with my teeth and give it to him. My hand to him.
Thank you. And he leans down, and there's a little bit of hesitation. He looks to you, but then he starts drinking, and he immediately is just lost in it for a moment. And he drinks. Like, he doesn't, lose control or anything, but it's clearly something he's been missing. It's clearly a relief. And he doesn't take more than a blood point. He then lowers your hand, clearly accustomed to when to stop drinking.
Okay, and I give him a smile.
And he looks to you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
My wrist. I'm glad I can help. I'm sure Zygmunt would want that, to keep you healthy and well.
I can only hope so.
I miss him.
And you see before he answers that he does. Oh, yes, of course I do.
Miss him too. Do you have any funny story with him?
I don't think we quite have funny stories. It was very professional relationship.
All right.
I suppose there was a time when, well, it's not really that funny of a story. It's just a thing. He reminded me of some of my old professors. And, well, as you can see, I'm not a young man, but when I met him and we started our relationship, I felt like a student again every time I came to him. Like I'm going to fail an exam or something. And he chuckles.
Yes, he had that mentor vibe about him.
But that's not really a story, I suppose.
But it's still good to remember him and the way he made you feel.
Yes. And you see there is some complicated feeling there, some hesitation as he confirms.
All right, I'm not gonna be wasting your time more than I already did. And I will leave you to your work. Maybe I could, do you need any help in the hospital outside of the project? I have I don't have any plans today. So maybe if you wanted to, I don't know, give me some other work as well. I'd be glad to take my mind things and just do something useful.
I can find something. You remember that you did this before and you had that intrusive thought. And as you remember that, Mr. Potocki says, I can look for something, but last time you really freaked out the young doctor on duty.
That's true. I guess it's better I stay out of living people's business.
It may be safer, but I can try to think of something for the future if you'd like.
Yes, it doesn't have to be like with patients. It can be some maintenance work. I'm pretty strong, so I can maybe, try to fix something, or I don't know.
Well, I'm afraid I can't think of anything right now, but
it's fine.
I'll try to.
I'll go visit.
Well, I'll make some inquiries.
Okay, good. Thank you. I just sometimes need a change of scenery. I'm gonna do we have any blood that I could work on for a bit before I leave to see Hannah?
Well, yeah. He told you that there's some blood that he collected. So there's some already preserved.
Okay.
And if you ask, he will tell you that there's some bodies in the morgue if you want to take more samples.
Okay, yes.
You can do that.
I'll do that. I don't want to neglect the project. So I'm gonna do that before I go. So in case anything comes up, I will be in the morgue or in my lab.
Of course, Janina.
Have a good night.
Good night.
And I give him a small ball and leave.
And you head towards your lab and the morgue. Meanwhile, Bea. Yes. You are in your room, quite shaken.
Yes. Eventually, once I feel like I'm just about Pulling it back together, I write my notes. Very factual. Not mentioning feelings. And sigh. And think of Ventoni and think of Janina. And try and push down the guilt for Arek.
And at some point, you hear tapping on your window.
I go to the window.
You go to the window and you see a crow tapping on it and cawing repeatedly and tapping quite strongly.
I open the window.
You open the window and it goes almost at you, circles around the room, and then sits perched on the back of a chair. And you see that there is a small cloth bag strapped to its leg. It just cows at you, flapping its wings.
I tentatively, because I'm not a big animal person, lean forward and try and get the bag off the bird.
The crow turns to you, looks almost like it will try to attack you, but it doesn't. It holds still.
I think we're both sort of giving each other an
letting you remove the bag.
Yeah. There's a brief moment of standoff between us before I go for it again.
Roll your animal can and charisma with difficulty 8.
Okay. This is a pissed off crow. Am I going to get mauled to death by a bird? I have a 10.
So it's like
it's not enthused.
Howls at you again, but then doesn't do anything beyond that, assuming you pull back the moment you have the bag.
I don't really want to linger, to be honest.
And the moment you're away, the crow starts flapping its wings again, very angry, and goes straight for the open window and goes outside.
And I'm standing in my room, very confused as to what just happened. I guess I'll go close the window to keep the cold air from getting in too much. And then glance at this little bag.
It looks quite soft. Whatever is inside is quite soft.
I open the bag.
You open the bag and you see that inside is just a bit of ashes.
I'd like to use Spirit's Touch on the ashes.
On the ashes? Okay.
Yeah.
Then roll your perception and empathy with difficulty 9.
Oh, God. After the 1, that is 2 successes.
2 successes. So you focus on the ashes. And you get a sense of a hand with claws scooping them up. And some bloody tears falling into the ashes. And then, as you move back with the memory, you get this feeling of hunger and power and revulsion and black emptiness and fear and sense of betrayal. And you see a body crumbling into ash, a body that looks familiar, a face that looks familiar, pierced by claws, with another familiar face leaning over it, with teeth deep in this form's neck, and you see the body crumble to ash.
I think my hand is shaking and I'm trying to not drop the bag. Could I try and use Spirit's Touch on the bag itself?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
That's going to be difficulty 6.
Okay. Somehow a worse roll. One success.
So with one success, you look at the bag and you see this a bit contorted hand with thick, elongated fingers holding it, and you see a face of a Nosferatu with a dislocated jaw hunched forward, strapping the bag to the crow's leg. And that's all you get on one success.
I'm going to make the assumption this is a hurry up. I make a note. And I tuck the bag into my satchel because I can't bring myself to let the ashes go.
There's something familiar about the form you saw there.
It feels like loss. So it goes into my bag along with so many other possessions I've picked up over the years from people I don't remember anymore. And I take a moment standing in my room, looking around at my notes with this sort of overwhelmed feeling. And I think that at the very least, what I could do is start looking into where I could get blood from. So I pull out my map and I start looking at hospitals in the area.
That's easy enough. You don't need to roll for that. There are hospitals that are marked on there. There is slight margin of error because some of them might be gone and destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't really a reliable map of a city right now.
Yeah.
But you know that some of the hospitals have been renovated and are standing and functioning.
Okay. So I start making a list of them to check out. And I guess I'll head out and look for, and maybe go around and look to see which ones are standing, and take a walk around the ones nearby to Hotel Bristol.
So you can head, one of the ones you could head to is closer to the Vistula River. It's not very far from here. You need to go towards Poniatowski Bridge and then don't cross, but just go down towards the river and along the bank. One of the streets there will lead you to a hospital.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I understand you start heading there.
Yes, I will cloak myself and obfuscate.
And you leave. And what's in your head as you're walking along the streets on the freshly fallen snow?
Anxiety. But trying to distract myself by focusing on a task. Feeling overwhelmed by time running out and not being, feeling like time's running out, not being sure how long I have, not being 100% certain of the meaning behind the bag. And I think it just feels easier to let the memory slip since I've made my notes. I've taken my notes and I just don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want to focus on the anxiety so I just let it go and I focus on Arek and I focus on the need to get him to safety, to bring him to Gravedigger.
And with those thoughts, you walk towards the hospital. Meanwhile, at a different hospital, Janina, you get to your lab. Do you want to try to improve your solution for preserving blood so that it lasts longer? Then you take some samples and roll your intelligence and science with difficulty 8.
Well, I have a botch.
You have a botch, so you try something new. You change slightly the combination of chemicals. You've been thinking about it. You think something might work better, and you set some samples like that to see how well they will hold. And that takes you some time. You also notice that there is a new fridge installed here after you smashed the last one when your friends ate. And you know how difficult it is with resources, so you get a sense that Mr. Potocki must have pulled some strings to fix that for you.
Adding it to my guilt pile.
But there is also there are 2 jars of blood in there, ready to be taken or used.
Okay, I will probably just grab one to take for Zoya.
Do you leave the other one be for now?
I'll take it. I want to fall into good graces of Zoya with snacks.
Yeah. I mean, generally, there's no benefit to leaving it there except if you
Yes.
want to have a reserve for yourself.
Oh, I don't want to.
So, you can share it with other people
Yes.
as well if you want. This is a resource that you have now.
Okay, I'm taking both of them.
As you're getting ready to sort of do that, you hear footsteps and knocking, and you see Mr. Potocki behind the door.
Okay, I smile at him. Good evening.
And he opens the door. You see that he has his coat not like buttoned up, but already over his shoulders, and is holding his hat. Well, I was just getting ready to get going. You can stay, of course, as long as you'd like. And I wanted to wish you Happy New Year, Janina.
Oh, of course. I'm sorry. I was just realizing it earlier tonight, but it's gonna be New Year. I kind of stopped celebrating it. Thank you.
Well,
And
it's
Happy
been
New Year.
difficult times. I hope something better is somewhere on the horizon.
I hope so. Are you going to celebrate it with your family or close ones, friends?
To be honest, not really. I'll probably be on call at the hospital. I'm not sure yet. I'll phone in tomorrow and find out.
Okay, well, you have a good New Year.
You too, Janina. See you soon.
Good night.
Good night. And he leaves you. And do you intend to do anything else? You're basically done setting up your new
Yes,
experiment.
I will probably start slowly walking towards our haven.
Mm.
I want to check up on Hannah.
All right, so you start heading towards your haven to meet with Hannah. Meanwhile, Bea, you get to the hospital. It's not a very long walk. It maybe takes you 25 minutes, half an hour.
Okay.
And you're there.
Grand. I think what I'm going to try and do is try to establish whether they have a blood. I presume that they would have blood storage somewhere in the hospital, based off of, and this is kind of based off of the vaguest foggy memories I have of breaking into a hospital previously. But again, it's really vague. So I'm going to look for an opportunity when someone's walking through the front door where I can sneak in after them without being seen. And then
So as you're doing that, just, it's not a difficult roll, but just roll your wits and stealth with difficulty 6.
Okay.
To make sure that you fit into the space in the door.
It would be embarrassing if I got stuck. I think I should be good. That's 3 successes.
Yes, without any issues. You sneak through and you are not seen.
Yeah. Once I've done that, I guess I'm looking around. I guess I'm defaulting to looking for a basement first, if they have one of those, and seeing if there's some sort of room that seems suitable for it.
You're trying to find it based on basically nothing.
Vibes, yeah. I'm gonna see if I luck it out. If I don't, then I might end up asking someone, but we'll see.
Roll perception and medicine with difficulty 9.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, I have a 9 and a 10.
So you are wandering around.
Yeah, aimlessly.
And it takes you some time and you're not really sure where you're heading. You know you've been to hospital before. You've done something like this before, but it is very hazy.
Yeah.
And this is, well, you can't even tell if it was the same hospital. And it is confusing, but at some point, you notice someone carrying some blood very carefully stored in a glass container. A nurse walking at fairly step. And you kind of connect this things in your head, and you realize that she came from around the corner. Okay. And when you turn the corner, you see a room marked as blood storage.
Okay. In which case, I then pull out my journal and mark out a rough route as to how to get there. Okay. So that whenever I want to come back and acquire stuff, I can get in and out quickly. Because I don't want to be faffing around the next time I'm trying to do this. Or do I want to try and steal some now? How busy is the corridor? Is it like a main thoroughfare or is it out of the way? That's another question.
There's no one here at the moment. You passed this nurse who was picking up some blood and maybe like one other person before.
Okay.
You think it's a bit out of the way.
Okay.
It's night as well. The hospital is quieter.
Okay. Is it like a fully solid door? Is there like a window or something?
It is a fully solid door.
Okay. And how much time of the night do I have left, roughly speaking?
Quite a bit still.
Quite a bit, okay.
Yeah, easily.
In which case, I'm going to try and pick the lock and get inside.
Roll your dex and larceny. With difficulty 7.
Okay. Three successes.
No problem at all. You pick the lock and the door opens.
And sliding in, just assess the blood storage that is the blood that is stored there.
So you look around, you see that there are some jars. It's not a lot. It's you think you could maybe get away with taking 1, 2 at most, although you don't know whether somewhere there it is registered as well who is taking what. You also find a cupboard with something that is kind of familiar. This is a dried.
Oh, it's the powder.
blood.
The powder blood,
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I'll take more of that. Because I presume it's A, easier to carry, and B, less obvious than a whole jar missing. I guess, and I imagine it'll store better as well for me. I presume. I don't know this. As much as Bea can make any assumption, she's going to go with the idea that it'll last a bit longer than the fresh stuff. So, gonna grab a few of those, stuff them in my bag, and just get out quickly and quietly.
And you do that without much issue. And leave the hospital. And where are you heading next?
Once again, cloaked and obfuscate. I think I'm just returning to the hospital to
the hotel, you mean?
Yes, the hotel. Sorry, they both begin with HO. Yes, I'm returning to the hotel. I'm going to take another look at the pack, like whatever it's stored in afterwards, once I get there, and see whether there's any instructions on how to deal with this. We'll see. I might need to do some fiddling to see if I can get it to work.
And you start heading back towards Hotel Bristol, having stolen some of the blood supply from a hospital. Yeah. Meanwhile, Janina, you're heading to Hannah's place. Roll your perception and alertness on the way. Difficulty 7.
I had 5 successes.
Oh, easily then. So you're walking and you are passing in the area where you fed last night. And as you are sort of walking, you don't pass the very spot, I imagine. But you cross the road where it was and you sort of glance along the road and you see that there are a couple militia men still inspecting the place, looking around there.
I just was string of guilt inside of me, and I just feel awful. And I realized that I have like the wallet of the man.
You do?
Still
You haven't
on me.
looked at it yet.
And I think I instinctively like pull it out and I look inside as I'm walking.
Mm. So you look inside and you find some money, a bit of cash. It's not a lot. You think it's like maybe a bit over a day's pay. And you also find his ID, and your eyes are drawn to it. And you see the name Marek Fritsch. You see that he was 35 years old, and there is actually his profession written there. He was a mechanic.
Okay, I think about leaving the wallet without the cash in near the place where the militia are, but I want to wait once they will be gone. So maybe on my way back. So at least, because I'm not sure if he will be identified otherwise. But I take the cash and I put it in my coat, and the rest of the wallet in the other pocket. And I feel just awful. I hate it. I hate it that it happened. And I'm trying to just remember his name.
You do. It burns itself into your brain.
And I'm walking. I guess my mood, I think when I was talking with Mr. Potocki, my mood was kind of like better because I like his company and I felt useful. But I think now my mood kind of sours again and I get more depressed.
And with those feelings, you still walk to see Hannah, right?
Yes.
And you arrive there without much issue and head upstairs, where she opens the door for you. But I think because it is quite late, we might finish here and pick it up next time. Thank you so much for playing.
Thank you for running. And for playing.
Thank you to everyone who's been watching. We really appreciate you being here to continue this story. We will be back in 2 weeks, so on the 13th of February, here on the Lamias channel at the same time, which is 6:30 p.m. GMT. And we hope you will join us again to see what happens next for Bea and Janina. And until then, keep well and good night.
Bye.